Welcome to the GoldSim tutorial on modeling historic daily precipitation time series. This is part of a series of tutorials covering hydrologic modeling using GoldSim. So in this tutorial, I'll show you how to not import, but gather time series records and load them into a GoldSim model. This is a very simple and common way to simulate precipitation in your simulation model. So in this GoldSim model, which you see here on the left, I have a runoff model that uses it requires an input of daily precipitation time series or any kind of daily precipitation output actually. We're going to use a time series to define the daily um, precipitation rates. So I'll do that by going up here to the element categories of our element library in the inputs category and selecting time series. I put the time series in there and give it a name. I'll end it in TS, that stands for time series, and then of course put in a description. I won't put it in now, but you should put the source of the data and the range of dates probably in there where the gauge is located. I'm going to use millimeters for my depth unit in this model, and I also want to define the precip as a daily rate because the time series that I'm bringing in is in daily values, and all of the time steps are the same length, so saying millimeters per day will work just fine here. Note that if you had monthly data, then you would probably need to account for the lengths of the individual months of the calendar year if you're going off of a calendar simulation, which is what we are doing. Okay, so I have the units, the description, and the name. Now we are ready to load the data into the time series, and you can do that by clicking the Edit Data button, which brings up a blank table, which now we can simply copy and paste into. So now we'll go over to the Excel file, and I will first copy all of the data from the date column and come over to GoldSim and paste it. Then I'm going over to the rain column and choosing, of course, the millimeter version of the values, and then I'll copy and paste them. Notice that we are already scrolled up to the top of this table. Also note, if you see a cursor blinking like this, you need to click out of it, click back in so that you only see the outline square, so that when you hit paste, everything goes in as expected. Now you'll note that the dates start January 1948 and end it looks like July 14th, 2020, which is actually today. No, it's not. It's a few days ago. But anyway, now that we have the data in there, when I click OK, you see the table closes, indicating that GoldSim did a check on the data. It looks for blanks. It looks for values that are not valid, like maybe if there's a text string instead of a value, then it would not close and it would show you an error. Also, if the dates are not recognized for whatever reason, it would also deny the it would not accept these values in this table. And you'll notice if I click it again, you'll see all the values are there. We can scroll down and see them all. Okay, so now that it's in there, it just turns out that my model was already built looking for the name precip underscore TS. So when I go to in my model menu and update expressions, you'll see there's an influence line here that points to the runoff model, because the runoff model is already accepting this name precip time series. Okay, so now I should be able to set the start and end time of the simulation to be equal to the time series data set, which I have, 1948 to 2020. I also have 1 day time steps for the basic step. Okay, so now I should be able to run the model, which it did allow me to do. We'll ignore the errors for now. Then I'll go, not errors, sorry, the warnings that were written to the run log, I'll ignore them for now. Then I'll go to the precip history and notice that it does not show anything, and that's because I need to first connect the information from the time series in this time history. You can do that simply by right-clicking on the element and selecting properties. Notice this is red, and that's because I had deleted the element before we started the tutorial. So what would happen then if you were building this from scratch is you would want to add this result there. That's the precip time series we just added. Now it is in our result plot and table, which we can view after we run the model. I'm going to change the name to, I'll change it to let's see, precipitation. I'll just say precipitation. Okay, so now I can double click the chart and there is the precipitation. Notice also I can hold down the control key on the keyboard and draw a rectangle around a specific part in time and see zoomed in what these individual storms look like through time. Okay, and then resulting from that time series that comes in, we have runoff that looks like this. So there's the runoff flows, which you could use in your model going forward. One thing that is very useful in GoldSim, however, is simulating future conditions, or I should say doing a projection, simulating some future scenario. For example, to do that, we may want to run what are called multiple realizations to understand the possibilities of what might happen in the future, to provide us with a range of possibilities. So to change this model to Monte Carlo, we go here to the simulation settings, Monte Carlo tab, and then we put in the number of realizations that we want to run. In my case, I only have approximately 70 years of historic records, so I'll put 70 realizations because I want to run a single year with multiple realizations. I will also uncheck this box that says run this realization only. So now we will run 70 realizations. Also, I'm going to change the duration to a period of time that is hypothetical. We will say 2020 to 2021. That is 1 year, 1 calendar year. You'll notice it's a leap year because there's 366 days that year. And then we will go ahead and we will run this model. And what you'll see here is that we get an error that says, whoa, the precipitation time series you just created, the last data point must happen after the simulation end time. Well, we're simulating into the future. So how do we use a historic time series to model future conditions? Well, what we can do is what's called time shifting. So if you open the properties of the time series and click on the More button, you'll see down here there's a checkbox that says Enable Time Shifting. When you click on it, then you can specify how it, when it samples at the beginning of a realization, where does it pick from on each realization? Well, we are running an annual simulation. We're running a 1 year. Even if you're running multiple years, you'd still want to choose annual, because what we're saying is that any time or any point in the time series the date needs to match the simulation, not the year necessarily, but the day and the month. So if we start the simulation in January 1st, well, we should pick a random January 1st every realization in the model. So we'll go ahead and specify annual there and click close. Then we run the model. And when we look at the chart, we see here's the 70th realization. This is one of the possibilities in the model. If I change this to 1, this goes to the very first realization. It picked a random starting place, a random January 1 in the time history, or in the time series, and then went forward from that point. We can also look at probabilities. We can look at a statistic, and we'll do more of this in the next tutorial. But for the most part, now we have a set, actually, a suite of runs that randomly chooses a place in the time series. Okay, so now the question might be, well, if it's random, what if I want to pick the same starting point in another time series? In this case, I have an evaporation time series in addition. Well, if you want to align the starting points on each realization, then you should add an expression here that's called shift year. now this name is arbitrary, but what it means is that it's specifying on each realization the year that we sample at the start of the simulation. And so I'm just going to, and you should put that description in there, obviously. But what I'm going to do here is I will, first of all, specify the starting year, which in our case is 1948. So 1948, and then I want to add to that, the realization, like so. So on the first realization, this has a value of 1. That would turn this first this result would be 1949 actually. Well, if our simulation or if our time series data starts in 1948 on January, then we could probably change this to be a realization minus 1. Okay, so those of you that are maybe confused about what realization means, it's really just it's a model run property that counts, it increments by 1. It's just an integer that increments by 1 on each subsequent realization of the model. So in our case, we're running 70 realizations, so this value will range from 1 to 70. And it will always be minus 1. So then you add that to the year and it just walks through chronologically through the year. And now we can go to both of these time series, and instead of saying it's a random starting point, we're going to shift the data based on our shift year. So we'll put that into all of our time series of the model. So I'll put that over here too. There we go, shift year. Okay, so now we have that in there. Now we can run the model. So we run the model, and then now when we look at the result, if you were to look at the very first realization, then you would see, if we look at the table view, that this is the first year of the data set. And so if I come over here to the spreadsheet, you'll see that it's 0.3, goes down a few, then there's a 1, and then there's a 2.3, similar to what we see over here. So, and then if we go to the next one, this would be the next, starting on the next year, even though the dates over here are for a future or a hypothetical year. Really what we're doing is, on each one of these subsequent realizations, we're just simply marching through this data set and starting first on 1948 on realization 1, then we scroll down until we get to 1949, and that will be realization 2. So on realization 2, we're going to start here. So on realization 2, we should see that we have rain that starts at 2 inches, which it does there, and then eventually hits 4.6, 3.8. So that makes sense. All right, so now we have a model that has precipitation. We're looking at historic records to define a hypothetical future simulation that samples the historic record and assumes that the variability in the historic record can be pushed forward into the future scenarios. All right, so stay tuned for our next tutorial in which we will talk about calculating statistics of this time series output or climate records that we'll be working with in these sets of tutorials. Thanks for watching.